I started meditating because I was going through a stage in my life where I was suffering.
For me, I realized the things that were stopping me from finding peace.
I didn't want to live like that. There is no way to escape.
I had no idea how transformative it was going to be.
All they need is love and compassion and happiness.
We're Josiah and Lauda, and we exchanged traditional comforts for a life filled with adventure, peace, and freedom when we moved into our van Paz in June of 2021.
Join us as we explore alternative ways of living outside the system.
Last year I did Vipassana for the first time. I was super intimidated going into it. The idea of meditating for 10 days straight without any talking, without communicating with other people was scary, and it turned out to be an amazing experience. So Lauda and I have been talking about doing this together for a while now, and the opportunity arose where we decided to do it. So we're about to go into a Vipassana meditation course. 10 days of meditation, no communication, completely disconnected. How are you feeling?
Well, I prefer to not have expectations, and I'm just in the present. Just in the moment.
I did this last year. It was an amazing experience, and Lauda's deciding to do it. And I'm super proud of her, super excited to see what she gets out of this experience. Like, what is Vipassana, right? It is non-sectarian, which means it's not associated with any particular religion, and it's...
Or belief.
Yeah, it's a specific type of meditation that is used to purify the mind, to find peace within oneself, and it's been a really important part of my life. And how was your experience?
It's a big question.
Yeah, right?
I want to start talking about my experience with meditation first, because it's very interesting. The way I started meditating was because I was very sad, and I was going through a stage in my life where I was suffering, and I knew someone that meditate, and he introduced me to meditation, and I started doing it by myself. Every time I did it, I went to a really dark place, but it was scary. Like, I reached the point where I realized that I wasn't happy, and that if my life didn't change, I didn't want to live like that. That was my first time, so I was very scary, and I quit meditation. And then when we met again, you start like talking about meditation, and you meditate, and gave me the opportunity to do meditation in a way that I really like it. And we used to meditate in nature, and it was beautiful. The second time was with you. The problem is that like Vipassana is not like that. You realize that you need to work hard. You need to work hard to find real peace inside, find real happiness inside. And to do that, there is not an easy way.
Yeah, a lot of things come up to the surface, right? Like in the purification of one's mind, in finding peace. At least for me, I realized the things that were stopping me from finding peace. And oftentimes those were very challenging topics to deal with, to feel the emotions as they come up, and just being in an environment without any distractions, right? Like there not being any cell phones, not being any communication with other people. Like you really are with yourself, and you get to connect in a very deep way, which can be so beautiful, and also can be scary, because I think
challenging.
Yeah,
I kind of like it because I'm not super talkative, and I don't like to talk about myself. In the past, I was very shy, especially with the strangers. I think that it's harder maybe for other people. You like, for example, socialize more than me, and for you maybe it was like
yeah, for me,
harder.
Like going into my first Vipassana, I was like I thought the hardest part was going to be not being able to talk to anyone. I like to talk.
Yeah.
I like to have connections
To
with people.
ask.
Yeah, and that was not even, I mean, that was definitely not the hardest part. If anything, I think that was, it supported me in the meditation. I didn't care what anyone else thought because there wasn't anything to think, right? Like we weren't talking, so there was nothing to judge people on.
That's the easy part.
Yeah, exactly.
We finished
Yesterday.
it yesterday, and I have like a really hard moment. I had a lot of emotions and things to process, and also something happened in my family. And
Do you want to share about what happened when you turned your phone on?
the 3 last days of Vipassana, I was trying to connect with myself in a deeper level, and I tried to feel the sensation of my heart beating with my mind, and I couldn't. The first time I couldn't. So that day I was very concerned, but I was like, I don't want to worry about this because in this Vipassana, they explain everything, like don't worry, be patient and all that. So I tried to be patient the first day. The second day before leaving the course, I was very like, I want to feel my heart. These thoughts start coming, but they were like visual, very visual, and I couldn't have control of my thoughts. And I saw this event, like all my family was very sad and heartbroken, and someone was dead. I couldn't be in the funeral, and I started crying and crying and crying by myself. When I took control again of my mind, I was like, this is not real, right? Your mind could be your worst enemy sometimes. At the end of the course, I was very scared to turn my phone on, but I had to because I wanted to talk with my family. And yeah, I received this message: someone died in my family, a relative. It was like a very tragic event, very traumatic, and I realized I knew something wasn't okay.
Yeah, because this family member died with your mom and dad. They were up in the mountains, and she had a heart attack or a stroke right there with your mom. Like, do you feel like there was maybe a new way of processing this loss, having completed the Vipassana training?
Mi amor, vas a hacer que... I knew something was happening in my heart, and it's something that I don't know how to explain. So I'm still processing, I'm still mourning, especially for my family, because all the situation they have to experience. I was very heartbroken yesterday, but today I feel very peaceful. My reaction and the way I process this situation would have been different if I wouldn't done Vipassana. But I think oh my god, I think the experience of Vipassana opened that different perspective in my life. People get hurt all the time, and I see it in this way: like you have this bag and it's like very light, but then with all the experience and your background, you start like putting rocks in your bag, then you forgot that you have that bag full of rocks. People just get used to live your life without even realize that you are so heavy. And this course for me is like, start taking those rocks outside your bag.
Yeah.
But I still have a lot, but I feel very light. I'm not saying like maybe this is forever, but in my heart I find a lot of peace. Just
to give a little bit more context to what Vipassana is and how it operates. So Vipassana, they have teachers that help you through this process, and they have volunteers that cook the food and clean and prepare everything. No one's paid. It's all volunteer work. No one gets paid any, and it's all free. So the course is free. There's an opportunity to donate if you complete the course. You're considered an old student, and you have the opportunity to donate back in order to continue courses for new students in the future. And I mean, coming from a religious background, kind of seeing like the business side of religion and different organizations, nonprofits, it was really beautiful and like refreshing to see something where it's like, it's just love. Like, people volunteer their time and their energy and their resources. They give of themselves from a place of love, wanting other people to experience the great experience they had going through this process. And so for me, I was able to sit for the 10-day Vipassana last year, right before my kidney donation, and it really supported me in so many ways. And this year I was planning to sit with Laura, and a couple days before the retreat began, I got an email saying that they were short on servers, volunteers. And so I decided to volunteer, and I was actually a little bummed, thinking like, oh, I'm not going to get that same experience, because I had created these expectations about how beautiful the experience was the first time and getting to do it again. And serving was so beautiful in its own way, getting to support new students go through this process, but also looking at it like in a selfish way, like what can I gain from serving? Even if it's just like washing dishes or cooking or cleaning, it was just like similar to my kidney donation. It was getting to connect with my authentic self, because like as a kid, my mom used to always say like that I was the servant of the family. Like I would always like want to do things for people. And as I grew up, getting like conditioned through the system, through society, through, you know, what people do, I think I became very selfish. I became very self-centered, and reminding myself through the process of serving, like, this is who I am, and this is what feels authentic for me. It was a really beautiful experience, and I feel fortunate to have been able to do that. And then, although at first I was bummed, by that last day I was like, wow, that was perfect. I was able to cook and clean and do all the things that are necessary in order for people like Laura, new students, to sit for the full 100 hours. Which sounds like so much time, and is probably like scary to hear, like, oh, you know, that's not for me. And if that's what you're thinking, I guess I would just say, like, at home, I couldn't do more than 15 minutes of meditation before Vipassana. Like, all of this chatter of my mind that I couldn't control prior to sitting for Vipassana, it's like nonstop. And going through Vipassana for me was almost like discovering this trap door that I was able to open and drop into and close. And so I could still kind of hear the chatter up like in the attic of the home, but I was sitting, you know, in the lower level of my mind, and just finding this peace where I could observe my thoughts, but in like a distant way, where they weren't controlling me. They didn't have that same grasp.
I think this course is not for everyone, because if you're not open to any experience like this, you're very skeptical. For example, 10 years ago, I wasn't ready for this Vipassana.
And I mean, I think it was so beautiful to see that there were old people, there were young people, there were males, females, there were people that were dealing with sicknesses, serious illnesses. And there were people that thought, you know, I wouldn't be healthy enough because I have back problems, or I have this and I have that. And it's so easy to let the ego set limitations on why you can't do something. And I will just say that there are all sorts of different people that were able to sit and have success in this course. If you're interested in hearing people's perspectives from our course that sat, we were able to film a few different people and hear about their experiences through their Vipassana experience. So just click the link up here.
For me, it was the perfect time to do Vipassana. I wasn't trying to reject the experience, but you were like pushing me a little bit. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And I was in a wait list.
There are limited seats like any program, and she signed up and she was waitlisted.
And I was like, okay, it's not the moment, maybe later. And 3 days, like 3 or 4 days before the course, they sent me a message like, you're in. And I was like, okay, let's do it. Because now I'm trying to be open to these experiences. So when they accept me, I was like, okay, this is my moment. This is about working within myself and working to make my life the way I want it to be, and also to be happy and to be peaceful, because that's the way I want to show up for others, and the way I want to show up for the whole world. I just want to express my love and my happiness, because this is what the world, all people, all human beings, all they need is love and compassion and happiness. And this world would be probably better.
Probably. If you're at a place where you feel like you could be more peaceful and you're not really sure, like what you're doing now isn't working for you, like why not consider it? And do whatever you want. I'm just saying, like, my experience, I feel like it's my responsibility, like my duty, to just offer this advice of, like, if at all you're like, oh, that seems interesting, like, look into it, take the next step, because it's such a beautiful experience, and it's surprised me. I had no idea how transformative it was going to be. And finding clarity, finding peace, finding so much love. I would just say, like, there's something so unique and so special about Vipassana, and it works. It works.
For us.
Yeah.
And don't forget to like and subscribe if you like our channel.